So, hi, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Ritika here. Yeah. So, Ritika here from JHRC, and let's welcome our esteemed guest, Mr. Dinakar Murthy. Dinakar Murthy, he is our seasoned problem solver and effectiveness trainer with 34 years of experience. He developed the Do How Smart Learn performance system and a methodology for progressive thinking and agile mindset development. And as the founder and the managing partner of the Samuthana Consulting LLP, Dinakar helps senior executive and companies overcome various challenges. Through focused discussion and follow-up, he empowers individual and teams to take action, leading to 25 times return on investment. Okay, yeah, and yeah. Hi, Dinakar. Welcome to
Thank you so much. Thank you for a very elaborate introduction. Yeah, please go on.
yeah. Welcome to the GHRC New Year Member Talk Show. So, can you please introduce yourself and the provide an overview of the Samuthana Consulting?
Yeah, see, like you already introduced myself, I'm Dinakar Murthy, known as Dinakar. Dinakar, basically, Dinakar Murthy Krishna is my name because of the passport. Okay, so Krishna had to be added. So that's the full name.
Okay.
I I'm from Bangalore, born and brought up in Jayanagar area. And after that, my entire schooling was in Bangalore itself. Then I went on to do engineering in BMS College. And
Okay.
after BMS College, directly got selected to MICO, that is today's Bosch. And I
Okay.
got in there as a technical graduate trainee, which was some kind of a program which Bosch had those days for grooming future leaders. So that program was for about 1.5 years. And after that, I continued working in Bangalore in Adugodi as a manufacturing engineer, and then went to Brazil in Curitiba, which is in the southern part of Brazil. And there I did my first leadership role as a group leader in manufacturing engineering in 1990, 91 it was. And then stayed there for 5 years, did various roles, manufacturing engineering, supply development, and manufacturing operations, implementation of SPC. That's a kind of a project, you can say, chain management. Then I went on to work in Germany for about 3 years, doing corporate planning for one of the largest business divisions of Bosch. And after that, came back to Bangalore, was in a role where it involved turning around a particular unit, which was not doing well. And after that, again, went back to Germany to do technology development for about 5 years, 6 years. And then that was when we came back to Bangalore, more or less came back to India for good in 2006, during which I headed the one business unit in Bangalore. And after that, went on to head the plant in Nagnatpura, another factory in India. Then from there, I went on to head the factory in Jaipur. And after that, I left Bosch. And because I wanted to do something for the Indian society, because again, this is something a little longer answer if it's okay with you. See, when I was in Germany, when I was doing this corporate planning role, I was very closely associated with the board of management of Bosch. Bosch, for you to get an idea, is a company which is the largest tier one supplier to automotive industry.
Right.
Has a huge market share in all the products. And we used to say that in any vehicle, if there is technology, then there is Bosch. It's like the Intel in your computers, right?
Computers. Right.
That is the chip, that's the core of the computer, and that comes from Intel. Similarly, technology used to come from Bosch. So it was really a high technology company with manufacturing locations, service and sales and service locations almost throughout the world. And in the division where I was operating, we had about 24 plants across the world, in all the continents. And in India, we were trying to evolve those days. If I look at 1995, 96, it was when I was there. Turkey was just then blooming, but then Bosch management had a lot of apprehension with Turkey when it comes to having a long-term relationship because of their alienation towards the other parts of the Arab world. And they were not very sure whether Turkey would be more westernized or would they align to the other Arab world, and then become more radicalized. So therefore, the readiness to invest in Turkey was not very high. And at that time, India had a phenomenal opportunity because we could have really taken off in a big way. And we didn't have any factories in the Eastern Europe because just then the Soviet bloc, the communist bloc had more or less collapsed. And that's after the Berlin Wall in 1989. Berlin Wall came down in 1989. And then in the Eastern Europe, the countries were just then emerging. In the sense, they were not really that dependent, and neither did we have any manufacturing or any operations in those countries. The biggest was in India, which was a developing country and where the cost arbitrage was phenomenal. You can see the amount of benefit and the growth which has happened in the software division, mainly because of a huge cost arbitrage between the Western world and the Indian salaries those days. And we tried really hard to get the components developed in India, to get the sourcing done from India in the 90s. And whenever any product would come to Germany, I would hear my board members say that, look, India is damn good in making samples, but when it comes to production, they really are miserable, which was a fact too. And even today, many Indian companies practice that. When you do a sample, you try to sort out from a large batch and then pick up only the good ones and supply them as samples. And later, since your basic capability to produce is not very high, you would end up manufacturing defects, and whether you like it or not, they go along with the normal good parts. So the acceptability of India as a country which can produce and deliver consistently high quality products was very, very pathetic. And I would leave this almost every day in those days, being close to the board, and people would make fun of that. I said that, no, no, look, I'm here, I'm working as good as a German, so why do you think Indians are bad? And then they would say that, no, it's not about individuals, it's about the general culture in the country that we meet. And that was a big inspiration for me to really leave Bosch in 2012. I was doing fairly good. I was the vice president and a SBU head of a global SBU head for a product. Then I left Bosch and started trying to see in what way I can create exceptional leaders and world class companies in India. And that's how Samuthana was born, with the objective of creating that kind of a passion where we have global brands and where we have kind of a reputation for excellence, which definitely is ingrained in each one of us. Otherwise, our country could never have been one of the top, or possibly the top, in terms of GDP, in terms of value contribution, maybe 1,500 years back. We have that in our DNA, but unfortunately, over the years, a lot of ups and downs had happened, and we lost it. So my idea was to really see in what way we can put us back on track and become the global leader. That's the passion which I've got. That's the passion which I pursue.
Right. So that sets it. So how does Samuthana sets it apart from all the other coaching firms?
Yeah, see, as a executive, I used to hire consultants and coaches for our business in my corporate role. And what I felt was, see, many a times the organization themselves know the solution, but somehow some kind of a barrier, some kind of a hurdle. Mostly, it is to do with organizational dynamics. These solutions don't come out. So my research, I would say, it was more a kind of a research and a kind of experimentation which I did over the last 10 years. I'm still doing experimentation. I'm still evolving, learning. I was basically to see in what way can you bring out that idea which somebody has within themselves, so that they can implement themselves without any external need. That was the first idea which I had, because I'd seen that as a corporate executive. Then the next one was, whenever I had a consultant come to our factory, my resources would be occupied with the consultant, because a consultant cannot sit on his own, right? He cannot, if he's sitting on his own, he might as well sit in the house. So if a consultant comes to your organization, he has to be engaged in some way. So that engagement means my resources are occupied. And during this time, many a times the resources are possibly the consultant in guiding the resources in doing something, or there is some discussion going on, some debate going on. But in terms of real value contribution, I always felt that it's a little dicey. It's not something so black and white. So therefore, my approach was to really see in what way I can be the least in the company. I don't want to be there in the company for a long time. In with my client, that was the second requirement, which second thought which I had. First was to make sure that people realize what they can do by themselves. Second is that my intervention should be as less as possible. And the third one, which I had seen and experienced, was when see as a leader, especially in a large organization, when you go to a multinational company or a large company, multinational or local, you would have a lot of people reporting to you. Therefore, you would not have the ability to manage, let us say, some 10,000 people. So you have a hierarchy. And this hierarchy means that maybe you would be at a level which is fifth level from the working level. When I say working level, it could be either the operator or the individual contributor in the case of software or the services industry today. Beyond the individual contributor, there would be a team leader, and beyond the team leader, there could be a group manager, and beyond that, there could be a director, and beyond that, there could be a general manager, and then you have a vice president. Now, my level at which I was, I could not deal with everybody on a daily basis. I could not talk to everybody on a daily basis. The only time that I had to really give some kind of a direction, give some kind of a orientation, and ask questions which people get people to think was during reviews. And the
Right.
review would be only for about half an hour. You know, if you look at the corporate world, well, many a times the reviews are maybe half an hour to 2 hours. In sometimes Bosch is a very structured company. There we would have reviews going on for 4 hours and all that. But in a normal company, it would not be that intense. So only during those minutes or hours, you could give some idea or give some thought, which would create an inspiration for thinking. You know, and then that is what I had experienced. Therefore, my model was to really go to any factory, to any client every 2 weeks for about 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours. So during these 1 to 2 hours, I evolved a methodology where one would think based on contextual hints. See, because it's easy. I don't know whether you've heard of brainstorming. Brainstorming is a methodology to generate ideas. Now,
Right.
when you wildly try to generate ideas, then you get all kinds of ideas. Instead, what I would do is I would give a particular context. Based on the contextual situation, I would have developed themes which I know are important for that context, for that situation to improve. And these themes, I'll give them as hints. And based on the hints, they brainstorm in a very quick manner. You know, it's not a long process. And this happens in multiple cycles. And multiple cycles means there is a lot of iteration happening in the thinking process. And so over 1 hour, they would get a good amount of ideas. And with ideas available, they are now energized to work for the next 2 weeks. They are now energized to work, and they've got their own ideas. It's not my idea. You know, and initially we would do this face to face. And during COVID time, we shifted to online,
Yeah.
where we did this with a couple of companies remotely. Every 2 months, every 2 weeks for about 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours online. And then it's very intense. You know, it's a game. I call it as a do-how gamification. It is one of the elements of do-how. And this gamification continuously gives you a contextual individual hint to think or speak, and then gives a contextual collective hint to conclude on whatever you spoke. And each task, which is either to think based on an individual task or a collective task, would maximum run for about 1 minute. You know, so during half an hour or 1 hour, I'm trying to get people to think on the same subject from different perspectives in a very, very intense manner. Our customers say that whatever they would accomplish in about 1 week, we could accomplish in about 2 hours, because the intensity is very high. And because you are thinking, again, this comes from the way our mind works. Because of this thinking going on continuously, there is what is called as DOSE. I use this acronym from another friend of mine, Ajit Kaikini. DOSE, DOSE, for dopamine, oxytocin,
Right.
serotonin, and endorphins. So this is something which is the key for happiness. Right? So when you are thinking, when your mind is very active, the dopamine levels are very high, oxytocin levels are very high. So the
Correct.
energy levels are high. You're constantly, and everybody gets to participate. So the key differentiator between anybody else and what we do is the phenomenal amount of impact that they can get at a very short time. I value time of our customers so that I don't go there continuously sitting there for one day or anything like that. It's only for about 2 hours every 2 weeks. And between these 2 weeks, over the days, I developed an app in Zoho Creator. It's a low-code platform for monitoring what they're doing. Whatever insight you got. Let us say you got an insight of wanting to read a book every day, for example, for 1 hour. So fair enough, you enter that in your app, and then you need to give a short summary of what you did read and what was the learning or what are the takeaway for you during that 1 hour of reading in that app. You
Yeah.
need to enter that. So this entry, you keep doing it during the entire 2 weeks. And at the end of the 2 weeks, then based on whatever every participant has entered, I create a scorecard which shows who has been doing more, who has been doing less. So they get a point there. Whoever who did more gets more points, whoever did get less points. So there is a kind of a competition between the participants to get engaged in whatever that they learned or whatever insights they got during that 1 hour to implement that. So the next key differentiator is the execution excellence. Because of that, the execution is good, not only just getting the ideas. So just to sum it up, one is we take the least time of the client to get the same results, and we focus on execution. And it is not about me telling anything; it is they winning so that they become heroes. So my customers become heroes. All my people in the customers factory, they become heroes.
Sounds interesting, actually. Yeah. So my next question would be, how is your consultancy support the personal and the professional growth for individual as well as organization?
Yeah. So
Almost
let
it
me
was covered in the previous answer
No,
itself.
let me first start by telling that see there are a lot of possibilities of learning, right? You could learn in various ways. You could attend a seminar, you could do a graduation degree, you could do your PG degree, or you could attend training programs in the companies, in-house companies, right? In-house training programs. But the best training you get, the best training that one can get is success. Once you experience success, you know what to do, and you repeat that. It's as simple as that. The way you achieve success is not necessarily the same as the way other person achieves success. That is because your upbringing, your DNA is not the same as the other person's DNA. So I digress a little into what is mindset and then come back here. See, our mindset is something which is a kind of a filter based on which we are perceiving the reality. We are connecting the dots, thinking and deciding and acting. That is what mindset is all about. And one third of the mindset, one third of that filter comes from our genes. It is coming from our forefathers and all that. And two-thirds approximately is getting evolved as we grow. It could be simple experiences. Maybe a simple experience that when you went to the bus station, before you could get onto the bus just took off, for example. That's an experience. And with that experience, your mind knows that, look, next time when I go, I should be careful. I should wait for some time, then only get into the bus. So, like the very simple thing. Or maybe when you started brushing the teeth on one day, you got brown water in the sink. I don't know whether it happens in your case. Sometimes it does because of rusted pipes. Let us say it was brown color water. So now you know the next time when I have to brush the teeth, I need to allow the water to flow for some time. Then only I can brush the teeth. So these experiences are not the same with everyone. They're extremely unique. Everybody experiences differently. Therefore, the filter which gets formed based on which you perceive, think, decide, and act is different for each person. And that's the idea of a mindset. Now, because of this mindset being different, the way one learns, the way one internalizes whatever new ideas you got is different. It will not be the same. Each person has a different perspective. When you see a particular movie, you may feel very emotionally excited. Somebody may feel that it was really a horrible movie. Somebody may feel that it was more like a comedy. It's not always the same. It's quite natural. So therefore, when you look at learning, when you look at evolution, when you look at development, it is important for each one of us to experience the development our own way by succeeding. So in my understanding, the way we have been working, we primarily work in helping companies to evolve. When you help the companies to evolve, the individuals in that company experience this duha, which I explained to you earlier. And during those experiences, they create the platform, the baseline for experimentation, or trying out new things. Whenever you try out new thing, you tend to get some learning from that, and based on that, you learn. And that is the individual part of the development. The other area is the soft skills, which is very, very strongly spoken about today. Personally, I don't really believe that soft skills is the key criteria for success. Of course, soft skills are required. You cannot say that I cannot really get along with people, nor can I not communicate correctly. It is all required. I'm not disputing that at all. But soft skills make a big difference when you go higher up in the hierarchy, where you need more people skills, conceptual skills than technical skills. At a lower level, soft skills are not the main thing. It is the hard skills which is extremely important. Now, this methodology of do-how, which I have called, naturally evolves your soft skills. For example, during that task of individual task of ideation or thinking based on a contextual task, there is one person who is explaining his or her perspective on that particular topic, and the other three have to actively listen to what the person is explaining. So
Okay.
instead of attending multiple seminars to learn about active listening, which is a very, very key soft skill, you will learn that during the process of this workshop itself. The topic of explaining. Each one of us can speak. The only problem is some may not be able to speak in public. Some may find a little kind of a allergy or some kind of a fear to speak in public. All of us can speak, right? Otherwise, we would not survive at all. And since you are in a smaller group of two or three, you start speaking and you are explaining to a small group of two or three, and that you do consistently for about 1 hour. And you keep repeating it every 2 weeks, and on topics of diverse topics pertaining to the context that we are discussing, where you are comfortable. So you get the confidence to speak, get the confidence to express yourself. And that evolves over time without doing any training on soft skills. So the development happens on two levels. One is the soft skill development during the Duho workshops itself, and the hard skills development as you experiment and learn. These are the two developments on the individual front. And on the company front, as a team, you start understanding the importance of any team. See, I keep telling that when you do reporting, when you have a scorecard, when you tell somebody what you're doing, it's not for satisfying your boss at all. It is for your team to know where you are standing today. Imagine a situation where you have a cricket match and the guy is standing in the cover is blindfolded. He cannot see the other players. He cannot see what's happening in the field, but he's supposed to catch the ball. How does it look like, right? So in an organization, there are things happening in a very rapid pace in different departments, different people. Unless everybody is aware what each one is doing, for him or her to adopt herself or himself to the reality will not be possible. So if you have to get a huge impact, a significant quantum leap in our the way we work, it's important for people to report and people to understand that whatever I'm doing is for the others, not for myself. So that understanding evolves. Therefore, the teamwork develops. I just want to quote one example. One of the activities we did with a large multinational company in Nasik was their project management. They had a huge problem in their project management. They were not able to deliver on time, on spec, on budget. And it is a company which serves in the energy sector. And they had a lot of pending orders and a lot of problems inside the factory. And they could not deliver, they could not meet the requirements, and the turnover was not up to the mark. And we did this activity with them. And as a result, that year, they achieved record turnover, record profit, record everything. Everything was a record. It's an all-time record, which has not been broken till now. And the reason why it happened was I could understand your pain point. You know, there are a lot of theory and a lot of training programs on empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is trying to understand you, and based on how you are feeling, how your situation is, I have to behave myself so that there is a support to you instead of conflicting. Instead of me trying to show off myself, it's important that we work as a team. And that teamwork can only evolve if I can understand what your situation is. And that understanding evolves during this process. And that once it evolves, then it is magic, real magic. Because nobody wants to fail. Everybody wants to succeed. The only problem is everybody is trying to succeed from his own perspective. I've understood success as A. And also I don't want to succeed alone. I want to succeed with others also. But my success, I have understood that this is the way I have to succeed. When I succeed like this, others also will succeed. And the same way, others also have understood their way. Moment you get this together, so people understand that the way I have to succeed is in whatever way I can contribute. I relate it with my team member, and then both of us understand what way can each other contribute to succeed. Then people succeed in a magical way. So both the team and the individual evolves in that manner.
Nice. Yeah. Then, how does your consultancy measure the impact and the success of its coaching engagement?
Yeah, it's just the direct metrics. For example, a couple of them just direct deliverables. For example, in one case, the customer on time in full delivery. On time in full delivery is if you ordered 10 numbers to be shipped on 20th, you have to ship 10 numbers on 20th. If you ship it on 19th, it may be okay. If you ship it on 21st, it is zero because it got delayed by 1 day. That is on time in full delivery. And you cannot ship only two if you wanted three numbers. Three are required, three have to be shipped together in one batch. So like that, if there is an order of 20 different items, all the 20 items to the required quantity have to ship on the same date as required by the customer. That is on time in full delivery. Now, the on time in full delivery for a company was around 70%, 70 to 80% in that range they were operating. Within about 3 months, they came to 100% consistently. Okay, that is one example. The sales of another company, sales in a FMCG company. This company, first company which we spoke about, is a company, a multinational company in Mysore. And the next one is another company which is in FMCG goods. Their sales order booking, was constantly at 85% of their target. Whatever target their sales booking in the sense, they've got sales representatives going around collecting booking orders with various shops. That was about 85% of the target. Now, within about 3 months' time, they exceeded 100% of the target consistently without any follow up. And even today, they're performing as the top performing team in that organization. Then another case where they had to ramp up. They were supplying to TVS Motors, a supplier of TVS Motors. They were at around uh, 30 to 40 components every hour. That is what their production was. And within about 6 months, they came to about 80 to 90 per hour without doing anything. So our that is in terms of production, in terms of output and the projects I already spoke about earlier. So our measure is directly related to the outcomes, because I can't say that look. And if I ask how did you feel the do house session, how was the experience? Their general feedback is excellent, right? But that really doesn't translate into the business outcome. Or if suppose somebody, in the case of an individual, somebody has a problem in managing his team. Today he's a manager. A team leader becomes a group leader becomes a department head. So those are the key measurables which I would
Okay.
consider a success in case we have succeeded.
Yeah.
I hope I am not really, what should I say, speaking so much than what you expected.
No, no, no. That is completely fine. I'm just analyzing what you told. Yeah, and can you discuss any of the recent trends or development in the coaching that have influenced the service providers by your consultants?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest developments has been the artificial intelligence. So with the advent of artificial intelligence, which is I'll go from present to past in terms of the technologies, artificial intelligence has helped has changed the entire scene in a big way, wherein you can possibly create conversational coaching without any individual being present. So the market is itself will get disrupted. That is one serious change which has happened. The one earlier to that is the COVID and the virtual discussion, whatever we are having today.
Yeah, right.
Today, imagine we are both discussing, so it's fine. Not two of us discussing, it's like sitting over and having a coffee. But imagine a situation when you have a group of 50 people, and how are you going to manage them? And how are you going to engage them? So when you look at maybe 10 years back, there used to be what is called as a poll, wherein you could ask all the 50 people to choose one of the answers, or there could be a survey. There could be some kind of an engagement in terms of getting people to answer some questions, to show something on the slide, ask them to answer this question, right? Somebody will lift their hand. And after that, just be after COVID, the concept of breakout rooms came into picture. You must have also used breakout rooms in your virtual meetings. Phenomenal, right? Have you heard of that breakout room?
No, actually, during the COVID time, I was in college.
Oh no, not after code. Now of late, have you heard of breakout rooms? Breakout room is a very simple thing. See, if I've got 50 people in a discussion like this, I can split the 50 into smaller teams of two, three, or four,
Okay.
and then the system automatically splits them, assigns the people automatically, or I can assign them manually also. And in doing so, I can run 50 discussions simultaneously. There is no limit for that. Okay. If you got 100, I can have 20 discussions, for example, 20 discussions of uh, uh, four or five each in each breakout room. It's called the breakout room. So I can now create the same impact as a physical physical workshop online. And then there is a whiteboard. Whiteboard, which again is something which is possibly more popular of late, wherein I can start a whiteboard. Even in Teams it is there. I could start a whiteboard, and then we could start sketching on that. I write something, you write something. So it's a live, as if you had a whiteboard in a room, you know. And this breakout rooms are really phenomenal. Even in Teams it is there. So such technologies have evolved a lot. So that's the other disruption, which means the need for face-to-face presence has not been that high. You could do it virtually, which has also reduced the costs. And earlier to that, I would say the biggest impact which got generated was the e-learning. So e-learning, wherein
Yeah.
you can learn on something on the platform, and you can create a quiz, you can do whatever you want. So if you look at it, technology has impacted consulting and coaching in a big way, uh, which makes the entire process much more leaner and faster. For you to get an idea, just to get the idea of the main differentiator has been the speed of transformation. The speed has got reduced, but the effectiveness has more or less remained the same. See, I was in Germany in 2003, I think. I did what is called as a leadership dialogue. Leadership
Okay.
dialogue was some kind of a 360-degree feedback exercise. You've done your HR, is it? What is your
Yeah.
qualification?
I have
HR?
completed my BBA in HR.
HR. So you can understand 360-degree feedback and all that, right?
Right.
So this was a 360-degree dialogue, which means the leader would ask his or her subordinates to give a feedback about himself. And then there is a discussion and dialogue between the leader and the subordinates on how to improve the teamwork and how to improve the relationship, etc. So in Germany, I did it in 2002 or 2003. It took me about 3 days.
Okay.
First, it was one psychologist coming and explaining to me what it's all about. Because if the leader gets feedback which is not to his imagination, then there could be a psychological impact. Okay. So there is a psychologist involved. So psychologist and everybody came and explained. And after that, they called everybody, explained. Everything was in paper and pen. So they had to fill up everything and then give it. So it took about, then she had to analyze the result. Then she showed me the result. Then after the workshop, about 3 days it took. Now, in that was in 2002. In 2010, we did the same thing in our factory in Jaipur, and that took about 4 hours. 3 days came down to 4 hours. Obviously, because I was experienced, so I didn't need any psychologist to tell me what this entire process is all about. And today, I do it in about 1 to 2 hours whenever I go to a client. I've got an online questionnaire available. I just launch a questionnaire, and they just click on the link, and then they can not even the link. They take the photo of the QR code on the screen. I would have put it on the screen. They take the QR code and then do the choices. And on once they have done the choices, within 1 hour, I have the results on the screen, and then we start discussing.
Right.
So the time has got reduced from 3 to 4 to 2. So the speed also has increased. The online is really phenomenal. Whenever I go to a customer, before we start any activity, I have a QR code. QR code basically takes you to a survey form, and
Right.
then people scan the QR code. I put it on a projector, and then they need to just go to their mobile phone, scan it, open the web browser, and enter the answers. So once you have done that, you can get a real-time picture of what the sentiments in that room are without any difficulty. So these are the progress which has happened in terms of technology on one side. That is on the positive side. On the negative side, because of technology, because of automation, because of speed, many a times people tend to feel that they are left out. But there are some people who may need some more time. They may need face-to-face connection. They may need people to sit next to them, talk to them, hold their hands. For such people, it's a little challenging now because of the technology. So it's important that irrespective of whatever level you are in, one needs to keep adapting to the technology. It's kind of a wave. You can't really stop
Yeah,
doing that.
back out. Yeah, right. So, what are the key values and principles that guide the operation and decision making process at your
Yeah,
company?
see, one of for us, customer first is the key. That is the biggest value. Customer first, and then second is we are transparent. Whether it is something which is critical, whether it is something which is favorable or adverse, transparency is a very key value for us. Customer first is a very key value for us. Integrity, of course, is a very, very important value for us. Fairness, and most importantly, the commitment. That means if you are committed something, to meet that commitment is extremely important. So these are the values which guide us. And whenever we go to a client, fairly we are always fully transparent in what's happening there. And even our billing and pricing, everything is very transparent. When we collaborate with somebody also, it's very transparent. Everybody get to know what is the turnover happening, what share each one gets. All that is really transparent. That's how we operate. Transparency is the key. And consistency. Once you're given a commitment, there's no going back on that. And then next is fairness. We have to be fair to whatever we are doing. Integrity is, of course, a fundamental value that we have to practice. And even with our collaborators, we are extremely transparent in terms of who's getting what money and how much share is one getting for whatever contribution. All that has been very fairly and transparently explained. And that's how we operate.
Okay.
And like I
And
said, since the customer, we are only going there for 2 hours, the amount of cash outflow for the customer also is lesser because he doesn't need to pay for an entire day there. It's only for 2 hours. That way also it is something which is a value add for the customer.
what kind of clients have you served? And
Oh
what
yeah.
are
So initially when I started, it was everybody. We have not been very choosy. Our clients have been coming from all industries. I've served people from hospitality, from construction, from real estate, from aerospace, from manufacturing, from corporate gifting, from commodity products, FMCG, all kinds of customers. Because as you start as a consultant or a mentor, there is nothing that you can really limit yourself to. And this was really good in terms of getting the experience and also diverse exposure, which helped me in molding to what it is today. And the size of the companies have been from micro to large multinational companies. Multinational companies would be ones which are operating more or less in all the countries, not Bosch. I do serve Bosch. I've only did one project for Bosch because my DNA is Bosch DNA. So me going there is not big value for Bosch. I was telling that, look, we have worked with all kinds of companies, micro to multinational. The only thing which I've seen is in multinational companies, okay, this is a very interesting experience which I observed. In the multinational companies, many a times the management is more dominant than leadership, whereas in a smaller company, leadership is more dominant than in management. Uh, what do you think the difference between leadership and management is? I ask you a question. What comes to your mind?
leadership and management?
Yeah.
I think it goes hand in hand.
Okay. So how to differentiate the two? Are they the same or different? Or
No, they are different. Leadership is handling, managing a team, and no, how do I tell it? With
okay. So let me explain my perspective. Right. Then after that we can have a discussion. See, leadership is all about inspiring people. Leadership is all about setting the direction. Then leadership is all about uh, uh, choosing a path. Leadership is all about initiative. Leadership is all about building relationships, building networks. That is leadership. Has a lot to do with people. Management is all about efficiency. Leadership is all about effectiveness. Effectiveness because you are trying to serve a stakeholder. You're trying to meet somebody's aspirations. It could be your own aspiration. Then how are you going to meet their expectations? How effectively are you meeting their expectations? Is all about leadership. Management, on the other hand, is all about efficiency. It's about efficiently using the resources which you have got. Especially most of them are always the scarce resources that you have got. How can you use the scarce resources for meeting that particular requirement? Management typically a manager would not really worry about what the direction is. Direction is set by somebody. Manager is only executing in such a way that that particular goal or target or direction which has been set is achieved the most efficient way. That would be the difference. Manager is all about efficiency. Management is all about systems. Management is all about setting targets, reviewing, then making reporting. Is all about managing. Whereas leadership is all about inspiring, setting, defining a purpose, envisioning, and all that. So that's my understanding of leadership and management. Both leadership and management go hand in hand, like you said. No, both are essential. You cannot really have a situation where you just have leadership or you just have management. Somebody can only be, if he's only a leader, then he would only be setting direction, then giving ideas, he will be envisioning, but nothing much will happen in reality. If he's only a manager, he's very busy in controlling, very busy in making sure that the targets are deployed, that the reviews are being done, without really knowing whether whatever he's doing is really serving any purpose at all or not. So that's the difference between leadership and management. Today's situation, you have got ChatGPT, which is possibly accessible to everybody. Other than that, there were a lot of AI tools available prior to ChatGPT 2 for forecasting, for example. When, let us say, there are seasonal trends in a particular company, and these seasonal trends are captured for the last 5 years. And based on that, a model can be built. And based on this model, a forecast could be done as to what could be the expected demand or the expected offtake in the next 3 months, for example. This is something which can be done. And this has been done for quite some time now. And I remember in Bosch in 2000, early 2000, I was there. There was what is called as a digital twin. Okay, today we call it as a digital twin. Digital twin is, let us say you have a system which is physically working. A system could be a very simple system wherein you are taking out your car and then driving to buy groceries in a supermarket and coming back. Okay, and you do that, let us say once a week or twice a week, and that's consistently happening. So that system can then be modeled, and a twin can be created, a digital twin. Now imagine there is a digital twin of you taking a decision, going out, taking your car and driving to the supermarket and coming back. Now, when the digital twin is there, then the digital twin could use information from the rush in the supermarket, for example. It could look at the traffic situations, okay? And based on that, and also could look at your own daily lifestyle, daily activities which you are doing. You know? Based on all that, it could recommend the most ideal time for you to go pick up that and come back the fastest. You know, which you would not otherwise be knowing. Many times you go get stuck in traffic. And this getting stuck in traffic, you realize only after you sat in the car. And maybe even if you put a Google Maps, it possibly would recognize that there could be a traffic jam. It would not know that there could be a traffic jam half an hour from now. Whereas your AI, which has got past data, could extrapolate and say that for half an hour from now, the probability of a traffic jam is very high. Therefore, avoid going to that particular place at this moment. And those would be the powerful opportunities with AI, which would definitely ease out your time. That is the positive side. On the negative side, as you see what's happening during the election time, there are a lot of deep fakes being done, and people imitating somebody's voice. So today, let us say both of us have done this recording, and if you feed this to an AI machine, you could be having Narendra Modi, but he will be speaking in my voice, or I could be speaking in Narendra Modi's voice. So all these things could be kind of a criminal part of AI, or I would say the playing part of AI. But that is also equally necessary in society. See, in society, if you didn't have criminals, we would not advance at all. So criminality is equally required. So when you have that, then definitely solutions would be developed to avoid that. You know, today you've got fantastic business in terms of cyber security. If suppose there was no cyber hacking going on, cyber security would never have been an industry, and a lot of people would never have been employed in that industry at all. So everything you should look at the positive side. So AI is definitely going to be a big game changer and a very positive evolution of the humanity.
This was very well said, actually. I was not expecting such an answer. Anyway, so the next question would be, what would be your message to the aspirational youth starting their career and to the aspiring people in their early 30s?
Okay, so I will start with uh, telling what I experienced in Germany with my daughter. We lived in Germany for 8 years. And during the time, my daughter went to what was called as an international school. And this international school had a syllabus which is called as the international, I think the IB syllabus, International Baccalaureate syllabus, which is in Bangalore also. I think one or two schools have that. So in that syllabus, they had what was called as a PYP. She was in the primary school. Primary PYP is primary years program. Okay. In primary years program, they were teaching them math, English, social studies, then geography, and after that, science, chemistry, everything, all the subjects were there. But the key was for them to experience and experientially learn. There was no real standard textbook as such. I think textbook was there only for grammar or English or something like that. But otherwise, there were no textbooks. They would basically write their own ideas in a book and then go and present in the school. This was from the second or third standard. Okay. Now, in the second or third standard, the teacher would really not worry about how they wrote, how their handwriting was, whether the grammar was correct or not, whether the spelling was correct or not. There was no absolute emphasis on any of these things. The only emphasis was on what is the thinking on the child's side and what is the child trying to express. Okay. So this expression is a fundamental capability of a human being. If you look at the difference between humans and animals, we are having the same ability to distinguish between hot and cold. They also can distinguish between hot and cold. They also can distinguish between fear and friendship. We also can do that. But the only thing that is different in us is that we are able to imagine. We are able to imagine a reality which is not really existing. And that imagination is the source of all our worries, anxieties, and all this. That comes from the imagination. I don't think animals would get so anxious as we when there is no real threat. We become anxious even though there is no threat because of this imagination. Okay. Now, in Sanskrit, I go a little on the spiritual side. There is a word which says Aham Brahmasmi. It's a very ancient verse from the Upanishads. Aham Brahmasmi means I'm the creator. So you're not really the creator, you're the creator of your imagination. So once you're able to create your imagination the way you want, then you can lead a very happy life. I always tell that, look, there are two ways to be happy. One is you believe that wherever you are is the best place you could be and you're happy, or you believe that wherever you are is not the best place and you are unhappy because you want to be somewhere else. So that imagination is the key. Now, that imagination is something which is fostered in the education system where my daughter did her schooling. And I believe in the ancient uh, Gurukula system in India, the same would happen. The teacher would not teach you how to multiply or how to add, but he would only give you some experiments. You would do the experiment and find out. I remember a very old story from Panchatantra where the kids were asked to wash a vessel. And there was one guy, he later became a saint or something like that. This guy, I believe, washed the internal of the vessel very cleanly. He spent a lot of time in polishing the interior of the vessel, cleaned it thoroughly, but the exterior was not looking that good. Where all the others polished the exterior and then took it to the teacher, and the teacher saw that, and everybody felt that this fellow is a very idiot. How is it that he could only wash the interior? And the teacher said that this guy who washed only the interior was the one who won the award that day. He won the game because the objective was to keep the interior clean, because that's the place where you're going to use it for food. External is required, but that is not going to be mattering at all. So that is the way the education was quite strong in the Indian context, and also a lot of debates and discussions, which really evolved the knowledge. The body of knowledge got evolved through discussions and debates. My opinion, I tell you, you tell me your opinion. Then both our opinions would get evolved, because your perspective is different, my perspective is different, and that is the primary way that the education, in my opinion, should be, because there you are unleashing the potential in each individual. Whereas our education system has been planned for creating employees, for creating people who just follow orders. Because our education system only teaches us to follow what is told. Our education system only teaches us to repeat what is told, and repeat what is told in the fastest manner. So therefore, if you are a fresher, if you are somebody who is in your aspiring 30s, early 20s, or whatever it is, all of us in India would have come up from that kind of an educational system. And this kind of a system is quite common across the world. It's not only in India, because everywhere in the world, societies wanted more people to follow than lead. And because they wanted more people to follow than lead, they had to put a system where people become more followers than leaders. Whereas as human beings, we have a choice to make. We can either lead or follow. It's our choice. That human ability to choose was really put in the second priority by all societies, not only in India. However, there is one school in Germany which is called the Waldorf School, which is model more or less like Gurukula. And in India, they've got a school in Sarjapur Road. It's called as the Steiner School of Bangalore, Steiner School or something like that in India, in Bangalore. And then also they've got in other places. This school works 100% based on the Gurukula system. They don't have any exams till 10th standard. They're only learning from the ambience or learning from the experiences. Okay. Now, if you do understand and read a little about Waldorf School, you can come to know that most of the decision makers in the world, most of the decision makers in the United Nations, most of those who are making policies across the world, they're present in almost 170, 180 countries, Waldorf School. They are all from Waldorf School. Because the school only teaches you to learn to learn. They don't teach you any math or algebra or anything like that. You only are taught to learn from whatever you see. So you are able to learn based on whatever you see, whatever you experience very quickly. And in my opinion, that is the core, what should I say, content which has been missed in our education system. So my advice to youngsters and to the aspiring leaders, aspiring junior executives would be to really look at learning to learn, really look at trying to experiment, go beyond your boundaries, because it's just one life. We don't have many lives to be lived. So with that one life, just go beyond the boundaries, experiment, experiment, and learn. You are going to fail. Failure is nothing so great in the life. Failure is quite common. And when you fail, the most important thing is not to avoid failure, but to be able to get up and run again. That is the key of failing successfully. Keep failing. Every failure to celebrate. But moment you fail, get up and run quickly. Learn to get up. Learn to run. Learn to overcome the failure very quickly. If I look at my own life, I've got a lot of failures. You know, I'm possibly a champion of failures, but still I continue. I still exist. I still continue. So that's my advice to the younger generation. I don't know whether you got it on the recording or not. My main message was to shy away from failure and start experimenting, learn to learn, and in whatever ambience you are in, become uh, somebody who is not scared of failure, somebody who wants to experiment. Every day is a new experiment, and from that learn and move on. I am not able to hear you. Yeah, now I think.
I think I got that on the recording. I hope there is a couple of network issues happening here. Anyway, so my questions are done. So on the parting note, do you have any thoughts or anything that you would like to share before we end this interview?
See, I believe, first of all, I want to compliment you and global HR community for organizing this. It's a very, very interesting initiative. I believe you should be doing more such activities to debate and discuss on critical topics. Now, critical topics involving, let us only focus on profession, on employment or startup or entrepreneurship. On those things, there are a lot of topics which are important. So there, you should really look at trying to focus on those. And one topic which I can suggest, which is going to be a very, very interesting and engaging discussion, is about leadership and management. See, I remember when I started my career, the programs used to be called as management development program. And later, over the years, it has transitioned to leadership development program. Now, if you see the situation, we have got wonderful leaders. Leaders are not a problem in India. The problem is the management. So management is about discipline, about doing things consistently. That's the place the problem is. So that discussion could be a fantastic one, to really look at what is leading, what is managing, Are you a leading manager? Are you a managing leader? Or are you just a leader or a manager? Or are you a leader and manager? That discussion could be very inspiring. So like that, many topics, pick it up and then organize a panel discussion, similar in the same mode as what you're doing now. Because initially, I agree that participation could be difficult. People may not come. Everybody is very busy. And there is so much amount of clutter in the environment that people really don't know what to watch, what not to watch. So therefore, it takes time to build up that audience. Till you get the audience, create a situation like this where it's a podcast. Only you are trying to moderate, and there are four people on the panel, and then that you publish it. That would be
Sure.
one suggestion. Otherwise, wish you all the very best. Global. Uh, I've been telling everybody that GHRC is the LinkedIn of India. So,
Actually, it's being like that now.
so all the best and grow fast.
Thank you. Thank you.